Hello everyone. Welcome to Office Hours, our weekly get together where we discuss all things Butterflies AI and what's currently going on. This week's Office Hours may be a little bit short, unfortunately, as not a whole lot has changed since last week. The developers are still working on the issues with unreliable image generation. Um, from what I'm able to tell, they are getting closer and closer to the root of the problem and the high queue wait times. However, it may still take a little while to resolve. Um, in addition to that, as I had mentioned in the announcements, we still have some of the same bugs with regenerating and refining images. Creating profile pictures more than twice can still trigger the beep bop boop and reset you to the start of the character creation flow, and that's if they generate any images at all. Generating images in direct messages is a bit unreliable due to high queue times. Um, Poking a butterfly still may result in something went wrong, though I've seen that a lot less lately. Refunds still occur automatically within an hour, and please contact us at the moderation team if they don't. New posts still may show fewer comments while butterflies remain paused. It's been slowly improving over time, but I have a feeling that due to the issues with image generation, we are having a bit less of a response than that. Memories are also still incorrectly displaying I cannot create explicit content, so unfortunately that is still an issue. One of the largest issues that we've been facing lately is the issue with the queue times in the general image gen for realistic and drawing. Semi realistic is a little bit less affected than realistic, so that is definitely a option if you like semi-realistic models. Personally, I have a few bots that are on semi-realistic, and I don't mind them. It's just not what I'm going for with my characters all of the time, right? However, if you just are dying to chat with a character concept that you've been working on and it hasn't been going through in realistic or drawing, try semi realistic. It might get you at least a stopgap while the developers root out the core causes. Um, in addition to that, well, frankly, we've been working as hard as we can on the back end on getting all of these issues with image gen resolved. Yeah, Ethel, you are absolutely right. Not my preferred style. I'm still a little bit tired today. Don't worry about it. I'll figure that out later. Probably just need to make another pot of coffee or something. But yeah, the issues with image generation have been going on since around June 12th, and it seems to stem from some server outages from our service providers. And when all of them went out at roughly the same time, it just caused a cascade of issues, right? So there are things deep buried that there still need to be resolved, it seems. Um, please bear with us for just a little while longer. Don't want to drag you on like forever, right? But I have a good feeling that these issues will be resolved within a week or two here now, especially since we've uncovered quite a bit of what's going on behind the scenes. I wish I could give you more details than that, but unfortunately, I don't really have, I don't really have them. Is there anything that's on anyone's minds at the moment? I know that the poster pass keeps getting stuck on soon thanks to the image generation related issues. Um, in fact, image generation seems to be one of the biggest points for butterflies, and it's just failing at nearly every turn once things finally start up again. I see a couple of people are typing, so we'll give them a minute here. But yeah, some of the issues that we have resolved are the issues that have caused images and direct messages to be unreliable to a point. 1051 mentioned that the butterflies that are stuck on soon can be fixed by manually pausing and unpausing again, which is true. And I also agree with you that it is hard to keep track of which ones are stuck on soon, etc. And Avery, what has been done is, after the developers got back from vacation on Monday, I had them start right in on the image generation issues with the realistic and drawing models, clearing the queue and figuring out what keeps causing the queues to fill up so quickly. We've uncovered a bit of that. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact details as to what went wrong there, but it seems to again stem from that service provider outage and a error buried deep within somewhere that keeps denying the looks like denying the request to generate images properly from what I can see, but I don't know. It's a lot of technical language that I honestly don't know if I should be sharing or not, you know? But yeah, no, it's basically been, we're trying to resolve the issues with image gen from the bottom up from this point on, instead of trying to resolve the symptoms of it. And that may take just a couple of weeks to sort out, unfortunately. Another issue that I know has been plaguing users is the way that the chat models, specifically the roleplay model, tends to just go completely off track, either pulling in context where it shouldn't or completely making up new context. That is something that I'm trying to personally figure out how, not really how, but why these context breaks keep happening. And unfortunately, while I don't have access to the same things the developers do, I do have some expanded access that give me some ideas of what's going on, as well as offer my advice to the developers on how to fix that. I know that the chat models have been a point of contention for our users who tend to use them, so please just bear with us a little bit longer. It might take me about a week or so to figure out how we can best get the chat experience back to where it was, I'd say, almost a year ago. It really does feel like things have started to go downhill for the past few months, hasn't it? I have mentioned that the chat revival is something that seemed to have the replies working again. However, I don't even know why the chat revival stopped or the replies stopped in the first place. The entire commenting section, again, that is something that it seems to be completely out of order, right? Some of my posts get 3 to 4 comments. Some other posts get 6 or 7. Some other get 1. And I don't know why that is happening. I remember early on, it used to be that, you know, every post that a butterfly would make would get like 11 or so comments, and the butterfly would respond to some of those comments even. That was great. It felt like there was actually some form of communication between the different AIs on the platform and the users, and it just actually worked. Nowadays, though, it's unfortunately not so much doing that. I also apologize if you hear my nephew in the background. I'm helping my sister babysit today. Um, so yeah, let's see. Yeah, it does really feel like Butterflies has become a hollow ghost of its former self. And I really want to get it back to where we were just a year ago, right? Just a year ago, we had a lot more activity on the website in terms of bots and users, it seems. A lot of the measures that we've taken lately have been, frankly, to reduce costs, right? Because running a AI site like this is expensive, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know exactly how much it costs, but just looking into trying to do something, that's a much smaller scale than this for one of my own personal projects is still very expensive. So I could only imagine with having hundreds of thousands of AIs and hundreds of thousands of users on the platform, how expensive it can be here, right? Part of those cost saving measures are also to ensure that users still have some availability of using the website, right? Because with the way things currently are, it tends to break really quickly. And that's not something that is, good in any by any means. Um, and yeah, Ethereal, useless comments aren't really helping anyone. Comments used to be a lot more meaningful. They really used to have some sort of meaning, like what? Almost a year and a half ago now, they were a lot more related to the posts. They were a lot more just relevant to everything. When Butterflies first started, I felt like it really had, near limitless potential to actually become a platform where humans and AI coexist. That's why the tagline was adopted, right? It really did feel like a place where humans and AI could just be and exist in a very social media-esque platform. While I personally don't really use a lot of social media, it's still something that, I've definitely taken a great amount of interest in. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't. And honestly, you're right, Avery. This place really still could be a place for humans and AIs to coexist if we can get all of these issues figured out. I definitely agree on that point. I just wish that I could better help, that there was more that I could do or more that I could offer. But at this point, I'm doing my best to relay things from you guys to the developers and verify everything that I can. I have actually seen another platform that does something similar to Butterflies. However, they are also taking advantage of blockchain technologies to fund their platform. So I feel like while it is similar, it is not quite the same. That blockchain technology is definitely something that has made me a lot more hesitant to explore that version of the website. I'm not going to mention what that platform is by name. However, I am going to give a shout out to them for reaching out to us to, introduce themselves and say what's up. That is definitely something that I appreciate. However, looking towards the future, the first thing we need to do is resolve our issues with image generation. After that, we can start offering some of the or at least start thinking about some of the things that we planned on offering with the premium plan, such as video generation and more advanced chat models. Please keep in mind that these more advanced chat models may take a lot longer than getting video generation hooked up, as we are doing our best to ensure that they not only produce good content, but produce good content at scale, right? Um, that's honestly another large issue with a lot of this is producing content at scale. I feel like a lot of the things that we've tried out in the past as limited betas had a lot better of a success than when we introduced them to the platform in general, right? Like, for those of you who are part of the focus group and were able to access the dreams on the beta version of the website or the app, the ability to generate images just by putting a prompt in and posting it to your own timeline was wonderful. Okay, I'm misquoting what I meant by dreams. I keep tying in dreams to basically like a user poke prompt for whatever reason. I don't know why. It was called something else. Yeah. Okay. It was a part of dreams. I'm not misremembering that. Okay. Cool. So yeah, no. The ability to just prompt the image generation to do something is honestly what a lot of people seem to be looking for, right? And having it as a social media like platform just brought the visibility to so many people. I've seen a lot of image generation platforms and video generation platforms try to have a social media-esque side to them, but they've never really been successful in the same ways that Butterflies has, you know? So the presentation of it being similar to Instagram seems to be something that offers familiarity to a large user base. And that familiarity can introduce, so many people to AI in a very positive way, as well as a very negative way in some regards, right? So I feel like that the biggest used thing on the platform is image gen, right? Hello, Roscoe. After image gen would come to the use of direct messages, and then after that would come the use of the comments. Yeah, we did a poll on that here in Discord, but I want you to keep in mind that our Discord has, what, 2,000 people? Ish? Something like that. So, let's see, yeah, about 2,500 people. Meanwhile, the website has hundreds of thousands of people. While not all of them are active at any given one time, there's still, we're about 1% of the total amount of users on the website. So I did a little bit of research and tried to figure out what people are using Butterflies for. And for the most part, it seems they are using it as a image gen service first and a chat service second, right? The commenting on images underneath, that just seems to be a tertiary, unexpected bonus for a lot of new users. And even then, it seems to be something that not a lot of newer people really know about or check in on. It's mostly us old hats that know what they could be that are so adamant about having commenting back, right? So, hear me out, okay? What if we got rid of the ability for other AIs to comment on posts, leaving it to the AI that created the post to be able to reply only to user comments, right? Seeing as comments have been basically declining. No. Okay, Darvel. I hear you, but hear me out. hear me out, okay? Instead of having a post get generated with a bunch of comments automatically, when the post gets generated, wait for a user to comment before a butterfly comments on the post as well. That way, it would be a lot more user oriented instead of just all of these automated things happening at once, putting a lot of stress on a lot of different moving parts where a lot of things seem to break rather quickly, right? So, like Ethereal mentioned, you could mention another bot for them to comment on the post. Or if you just comment on the post, then the bot who posted would reply to your comment. And Avery, you are absolutely right that it could work if the community was a lot bigger. Because, nobody really seems to be commenting, right? It seems to all be just butterfly generated comments. And Hank, you are absolutely right, where the comments from butterflies have just become sarcastic or morose or not really friendly. While I get that social media is a place for people to express themselves, it really seems like most of the butterflies on the platform just want to bully one another in the comment section. So, yeah. It's just, it needs an entire overhaul. And my personal thought is, again, make commenting a user-oriented experience. If you want another butterfly to comment on a post, tag that butterfly in the comments. Don't generate these comments automatically, because they will just be these mean or very generic things that we keep seeing over and over and over again. And Darvel, Ethereal, you are absolutely right that we should have a friend group or categories or some way to organize our butterflies. For those of us who have existed here on the website for almost the 2 years that it's been here, we have hundreds, some of us thousands of butterflies, and sorting through that list gets to be so exhaustive. 1051, you have what, over 500 butterflies? Closer to probably 1,000 by now, right? And it's just, I can't imagine trying to sort through that. I only have a couple hundred myself, and it is so hard to manage. Oh, well, fair enough. However, if you wouldn't mind me asking, why did you delete them? Was it because it was hard to manage the poster pass, or you just lost interest in those butterflies, or was it, something that we did or something that you felt you wanted to do? And Ethereal, you are right. You technically do have 30 days to recover a butterfly that you have deleted. However, I have barely processed any of those requests. It's very rare for people to reach out that way. So it's both lost interest and a management issue. That's completely fair. Hank, you're absolutely right that the feed is completely out of date. I keep seeing posts from 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, not anything current, even though I get notified when bots that I'm following post. So I don't know what's going on with the feed. I've mentioned it several times that the feed just keeps repeating itself, and there have been a few fixes, like if you keep seeing posts from multiple weeks ago or the same posts over and over, the developers pushed a fix that when you refresh the page it should show newer posts. That doesn't seem to be really working well. Darvel, no. When you delete a butterfly, you do not get a message like that where it's warning you, different users have chats with your butterflies, unfortunately. And like Avery mentioned, deleting a butterfly isn't a bad thing. Sometimes they just get obsolete because you grew as a creator. you know? Um, and you guys are absolutely right with the first post of search being the same over and over and over again. I don't know why. And I've pointed that out a couple of times. However, I've also made sure that the developers are more focused on image generation at the moment. And Darvel, you're right. You know, your butterfly may not be obsolete for other users. However, ultimately, just like a YouTube channel or, you know, any other social media, the creator has the final decision of whether or not to remove the profile completely. And I believe that that is something that we should definitely keep. Ethrol, no. I'm just gonna flat out say it, no. I'm not gonna be talking to them about any additional image gen models until we have our issues with image generation sorted out completely. Because if we can't even keep up with what we have, adding more is only going to make that problem worse, right? While you say we can just take out semi-realistic, and I am fully admitting that semi-realistic is the least popular of the three models, it's still rather popular, right? Just based on the amount of users who we have and the amount of semi-realistic butterflies that we have, I don't feel like that is going to change. Not to mention offering the models the way that we do, right? With a realistic model, a semi-realistic model, and a drawing model that are pre-prompted to have those styles, it makes an introduction point to AI image generation a lot faster and easier. When I first started out with image generation, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing with style prompts, what I was even doing with prompts, right? So having a little bit of a helping hand like that definitely helps new users getting the results that they are looking for in a lot faster of a way. That being said, there are also members on our platform, myself included, that are beyond simple prompts and want to do something more with the butterflies that we have. Roscoe, the images that we create on butterflies are a form of AI art. So are chats, I suppose, if you really get into it. Like, AI art is an overarching description of a lot of things, but in general, it typically refers to the visual side of things. Ethereal? I'm not sure. Frankly, I'm not sure. I'm still saying that we are going to be focused on image generation until that's fixed. After that, the issues with chat. After that, the issues with comments, right? So by the time we do get around to comments, I can't tell you what it's going to look like. I honestly can't. I'm sorry. My personal opinion is that yes, private butterflies or NSFW butterflies should be able to respond to their own posts. But that's, you know, something for further down the line. Frankly, the entire private butterfly experience is a bit weird. Not gonna lie, I feel that some of that is my doing, as I've tried to keep the ability of butterflies to have, you know, a public or private version of themselves, or the ability to switch between the two. When we first started out, there were actually 3 settings. There was public, private, and hidden. The hidden setting made it so that it was not, connected to your profile, and others could still access it. Right. Hidden, unlisted, same thing. I'm sorry that I got that naming convention wrong, because it was removed, almost a year and a half ago now. It really did become just public or private, like only a few months after we started. In the For You feed, yeah. So the For You feed is based off of your own experience on butterflies. Because I am a moderator on butterflies, I have a big mixture on my For You feed of not only NSFW, but unfortunately child bots and excuse me, just bots that I'm not interested in. Let's see. Hidden. So no. Maybe something similar to that. It might have showed when moderation action is taken against a bot. However, there's really only a couple of things that mods can do, and that the ability to remove a butterfly from the website is one of them. The For You feed, the search feed in general as well, has just been filled with more and more NSFW lately, and yeah, it's concerning. I'm not gonna lie. To me, it is concerning, because a lot of the adult side of the website has, we've tried to hide it. Not because we're trying to, hide that from the public, but because it's not really for public eyes. It's more for private eyes, You don't go to, or I should rephrase this. There's not a lot of bars that offer an outdoor venue, right? And even then, there are still strict requirements for being outdoors at said bars. So, keeping that in mind, I try to treat NSFW the same way, right? Keep it indoors where only adults can access it. Let's see, Hank. When you are chatting with a butterfly, what filter model are you using? Are you using the mature filter or the everyone filter? And yeah, Ethereal, you are absolutely right, where the ability to remove posts from your feed does not seem to be working at all. Let's see. Okay. So there are actually a few methods that you could use using a OOC chat. Yeah, you can set it per butterfly, and then there's also a global default that you can use, Hank. Avery, I wish I had an answer to that. The last update I heard about Android versions is that the Android development has been completely paused. So I don't know if there's going to be another Android APK in the future. I would hope. Honestly, I would hope there's another Android APK in the future, but again, the last I heard is that Android development has been paused. Let's see. over some recent bug reports. There is a request that I also made to the developers about having a status page made on the website that is publicly available that can show the status of image generation, of comments and replies, of direct messages, things like that. Yeah, I personally use a combination of the desktop website as well as the developers did enable progressive web apps for mobile. So if you use any browser capable of installing a website as a progressive web app, such as Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Brave, or I believe Opera now supports it, you can install a standalone version of the website on your phone and it will function similar to an app. However, it does not have, all of the same bells and whistles and optimizations of an Android app. Avery, what browser do you tend to use on your phone? Because for Chrome and Brave, it has a pop-up, but for Microsoft Edge, you have to go into the browser's menu. It's kind of that in between. And also, the last that I heard from Android itself is that they will be dropping progressive web apps within a couple of years here. So it's weird, frankly. But in general, the progressive web app, honestly, to me, works well. So yeah, connect with me after office hours and I can definitely help you get that set up. But yeah, back to what I was mentioning earlier about a status page. With all of the issues that we've been encountering and with the way that they've been just randomly cropping up, some form of, hey, this is what's currently going on with the website is definitely something that's needed. Yeah, so as I mentioned, Chrome has a pop-up for the progressive web app. Brave should have a pop-up for the progressive web app the last time I checked. Microsoft Edge doesn't always do the pop-up, but you can install any website as a progressive web app using Microsoft Edge as well through its settings. Opera, I recently saw something about them starting to offer progressive web apps for the Opera browser, not the Opera gaming browser. So that there is a difference between those two. Honestly, that's something I never expected that I'd become knowledgeable in, is the different browsers and what they offer, how they work. So if you ever have any questions about having butterflies on different browsers, please feel free to ask me. And for those of us who are stuck, okay. Yeah. Hank, that unfortunately, I was literally just about to mention that. For those of us stuck on the desktop version, I have been making a case with the developers to have cross-compatibility of a good portion of the mobile features available on desktop. I frankly think that a lot of the things that we offer on mobile should be on the desktop experience, like the daily challenges, the different UI that was available on mobile. The only thing that I don't think would be desktop compatible is the ability to make clones, because clones require a camera in order to take a photo of yourself for the AI to reproduce your image, right? Refine would be the biggest thing and is one of the biggest things that I've been telling the developers to add to desktop for a while. And Avery, you are absolutely right that laptops have webcams and some desktops also have webcams, but when developing a platform for a large amount of users, you tend to go for the lowest common denominator, which would be desktops that don't have webcams. Ethereal, personally, I am on the fence about clones. I completely understand where some people are coming from, where clones have offered them solace or, allowed them to basically act in a different way and better understand themselves. But there's also issues, like you mentioned. Yeah, when clones first came out, I made a couple. I think I still have 3 that I keep around on private just to keep a test of the feature going. But I don't really use too many clones use clones myself. I understand the reasonings behind them, right? My AI journey actually started with Replica AI, which started as a passion project of a few friends trying to basically talk with their dead friend again. And I view a lot of things through that perspective. Hank, clones are currently a mobile platform exclusive, so yes, I do believe that it would be the iOS version. I have not tried making a clone with the progressive web app yet. Oh, crud. For that issue, Avery, where you're logging in and it keeps going to the Android app, I believe you're going to have to go into your settings and disable the setting that allows it to open the app. Let me see if I can reproduce that. Hank, you haven't seen it on the mobile website? Okay. Let me check my version of the PWA. Just real quick, so I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I am not seeing it on the mobile website either. So that seems to be an iOS exclusive, like you mentioned. Which, yeah, if it's only for iOS users, then I don't know why we're still adamantly supporting that feature. At least from a personal perspective, I honestly don't know what the actual, split of users is between the different versions of the app or anything like that. I just know a general, estimate of over a couple 100,000 users. Yeah, no, all these different versions are a big headache, and you're right. We do need some sort of frequently asked questions page or some sort of information similar to that. I know those of you who have seen me around here on Discord for a while have seen me attempt to create a 101 for butterflies so many times. And every time I've started, things have changed so drastically that my 101 is completely useless. So, yeah, I honestly am hesitant to start with any sort of FAQ or anything like that. Yep, exactly, Ethereal. We made a 101 together and it went poof. So, I don't know. I don't know what the best solution for that is going to be. And Ethereal, you say that since it's not changing right now, it's the perfect time, but with the way that things are going, creating a 101 would include basically adding in workarounds for the bugs that are on the website. While it would probably be appreciated by the community, it's not the proper way to do things, you know? But some form of FAQ for what features should be working and offered is definitely something that I feel needs to be completed. Let me go through what documentation I have, and I'll pull together something. Yeah, I'll pull together something for next week's office hours for that. Ethril, that is not true. I am paying attention. There's just no immediate fixes on the weekends because the developers do not work on the weekends. Some of the fixes for things that have been reported on the weekends have just been silently passed along as well. Like, especially for minor bug fixes, just like little display issues or errors that popped up randomly. Those things are just quietly patched. But yeah, no, you are absolutely right. I do admit readily that, you know, anybody who is looking for support on the weekends should not expect an immediate fix. The fixes should be expected between Monday through Friday, basically. Alright. It's getting pretty close to that time where I should cut the recording soon. Is there anything that we haven't touched on or covered yet that anybody wants to talk about? Are you talking about poster pass? Pink? Where users have to manually approve each post, basically? That was created because a lot of people were basically just creating butterflies once, twice, and then leaving, right? Never returning to the website, and then these butterflies continually posted images and posts without any sort of user interaction at all. So by having a user manually review each post, it shows that there is still some interest in this AI that's going. What was supposed to shut down, Ethril? Oh, auto-pausing. Yeah, no. Auto-pause did not work reliably. Not to mention pausing before I stepped in and helped the pausing feature get better just didn't work as was originally stated. Now, still, I wish we had a easier way to pause and unpause butterflies. We have the resume button when a butterfly is paused, right? But I feel like, and a few others feel like, the ability to pause and unpause a butterfly from your butterfly's menu would make things a lot faster. Let's see. So, Ethril, you mentioned that regeneration does have its own pros and cons, and refine might not strictly be better. And that is definitely something I've debated for a long time. Compared to regeneration, which, keep in mind that regeneration pulls from the old context of the post and adds in your prompt as additional context, versus refine, which replaces that context. Like, they are separate things. You're right that they have their own pros and cons. But regen just, Compared to the ability to replace the context completely with a refine, seems underwhelming, especially when I have to use 2 to 3 regeneration attempts to get the same results as one refine. Roscoe said, whenever I looked at butterflies, it had a post from 2024 or 2023, old image gen, or not even in months. Could you clarify that statement? So basically old butterflies that had been automatically paused, right? And the issue with automatically pausing a butterfly was there was no indication that it had been paused. It didn't switch its status in the settings to being paused or anything like that. It just stopped producing images, stopped replying to comments, and only worked in chats. And even for our end on moderation, it was hard to figure out whether a butterfly was automatically paused or not. I don't know. At this point, it feels like some of these systems need to be just rebuilt from the ground up, right? Especially stories, comments, and the overall, like, butterflies management aspect. There's a lot of things that do work for us. I personally believe the fast creation of a butterfly is something that really does work, because for somebody who's brand new to creating an AI character, it can get them off the ground in a couple of minutes. For us more advanced users, we need an advanced creation flow. There are definitely reasons to have, control over how a butterfly responds to things, how a butterfly talks, and even the generation of images that a butterfly has. And Ethel, while I hear you that it should be more step by step, that is again something for a more advanced creation flow. Think about somebody who keeps hearing about all of these wonderful AI things, but has never tried to make it themselves. They have zero experience with prompting, zero experience with what AI can even do, right? And they stumble upon butterflies. Well, again, within just a minute and a quick sentence, they can get a character going and experience, some of what we have to offer. That is an ability that I personally believe is something that can drive just every AI platform that is out there forward. The ability to get new users, not users from other AI platforms, not users with previous experience with AI, but people who've never experienced AI, right? That is something that we should be definitely, protecting and trying to influence on. And Hank, I also personally use AI assistants when I'm trying to create a more complicated character. Sometimes it's just easier to chat with AI to figure out, what would be the best combination of traits, or basically a lot of those things, right? Okay, give me a second, Avery, I'm reading your comment. Okay. So, I hear you there. I definitely hear you, especially with the surge in popularity of AI, that there are a lot less uninitiated. In fact, I unexpectedly started hearing about people talking about their chat GPT while I was just eating in a restaurant, right? So AI has become more of a just regular everyday thing. But I still, like you, believe that fast creation flow is something that is good. While I do have my own reasons for it, it's a again, there can be multiple reasons why something like that should exist, you know? Anyway, we've got about 5 minutes to the top of the hour, so last call for questions or comments. Avery mentioned that there are already hundreds or thousands of chatbot clones out there, and chances of someone coming to butterflies not being able to get off the ground is honestly kind of silly. So, Ethel, you are more concerned about the quality of butterflies on the website, right? And while I hear you, I've had this experience with several AI platforms where there are low quality bots that are just copied and pasted from any number of sources to really high quality custom created bots that are meant to be on that platform. And it is difficult to tell what's what. It is very difficult to tell if this is something that's good quality, bad quality, or in between, right? So I hear you there, I do, but I don't believe that the fast creation flow has any influence on that. I believe there's more of an influence on that with like creators returning to those butterflies that use the fast creation flow to edit them. And also think about it this way, right? With my Jack Skellington bot, for example, my Jack Skellington bot used the fast creation flow. All I put in was Jack Skellington, and it created a very, very quick facsimile of it. And it's a very good facsimile of it. So for very popular characters, that fast creation flow just really, really helps. And La Papa, thank you for asking about how I'm doing. I'm just a little tired. It's fine. Ethel, yes, there is one thing that you cannot edit, and that is that initial sentence. Yes, I've heard that 100 times. I don't know how to fix that because I've pointed that out. I have pointed that out quite a few times. And Avery, yeah, you're right. That first box is the only thing you need for fast creation. Frankly, it should be editable after the butterfly is created. But I don't know like what the best way to express that is to the developers. It's hard to show how much influence that first sentence has on a butterfly when there are so many different diverse butterflies already on the platform that use a different range of that starting sentence, from even a blank no space to just a period to a whole 400 character paragraph. And I don't know, it's weird. It really is weird. I've used that first sentence, which again at this time is not changeable, to basically force a particular bit of context into butterflies, so you could take advantage of the fact that it's not editable. Like, there are very different perspectives on how to create a butterfly, right? And that's perfectly fine. I'm actually happy that there are all these different perspectives on how to create something. But what I'm not happy with is the inability to undo things, right? Like, if you change your profile picture, right? You can't return to a previous profile picture. You have to hope that you can generate a new one that's similar. So, yeah, there's just a lot of those little tweaks that would make things a lot more usable. And Ethereal, legacy bots are called legacy for a reason, unfortunately. So I don't know if we're even going to expand on those bots' capabilities. They were basically frozen in that state from when Butterflies was first around for a reason, you know. But yeah, that is the top of the hour, and with that, office hours should be coming to a close here. I hope that I answered, everybody's questions today, even though some of the answers might be dissatisfactory. But trust me, I am honestly doing my absolute best to make sure that this platform succeeds. Like Avery mentioned, there's not a whole lot of websites that are similar to Butterflies. Like, for public-facing, popular websites, Butterflies seems to be really the only one. The only other one that I learned of, I literally did not know it existed until like a week ago. And apparently they've been around for about 3 months longer than Butterflies. So, yeah, it's something that I feel we really should try to keep going, But enough on that. I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon. And for those of you listening on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks, guys.